Rain drizzled softly against the polished marble tombstone as the wind carried whispers through the cemetery trees. A black limousine idled in the distance, its headlights casting a cold glow through the mist. At first glance, the woman in the tailored black coat looked like she belonged in a boardroom, not standing alone at a grave. Isabella Navarro, the name echoed in the corporate world like a thunderclap. CEO of one of the largest tech conglomerates in the country. She was a woman known for her power, precision, and an icy demeanor that left rivals trembling. But today, her empire meant nothing. Today, she visited her son. Lucas had been her only child. Smart, gentle, rebellious. He had died 2 years ago in what the media called a tragic accident. A car crash that raised questions Isabella had never dared to answer. The pain had buried itself so deep that she stopped asking, stopped feeling. The autopsy, the police report, the press, none of it gave her peace. Now she returned every year on the day of his death. Alone, but this time someone else was there. A young woman, perhaps in her mid-20s, stood at the opposite side of the grave, holding a small child no older than 2. Her clothes were plain, her eyes red. The child squirmed in her arms, restless in the cold. Isabella froze. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice firm but not cruel. The woman turned slowly. Her eyes met Isabella's with something between fear and defiance. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you'd be here." "You were visiting his grave?" Isabella's voice cracked slightly as she glanced at the headstone etched with Lucas Navarro, beloved son. 1996 to 2023. The young woman nodded. "And the child?" Isabella's gaze dropped to the boy. He had thick, dark curls like Lucas had as a baby. His eyes, so familiar, so piercing, stared back at her, unblinking. The woman hesitated. "His name is Matthews." Isabella's heart lurched. The resemblance wasn't just passing. It was unmistakable. "Is he?" The woman didn't answer. Instead, she pulled the child closer and stepped back. "I didn't come to cause problems." "Wait," Isabella whispered, her mind reeling. "I need to know the truth." The woman looked down. "I didn't know how to find you. Lucas never told me much about his family. He said you wouldn't approve. That was possible." "No, likely." Lucas had always kept his personal life guarded around her. They fought often about his choices, his independence, the way he distanced himself from the life she tried to prepare him for. "What's your name?" Isabella asked. "Ana." "Ana. Who?" "Ana Oliveira." Isabella took a step forward, studying her more closely. There was no sign of deceit in her face, just exhaustion and sadness. "When was he born?" she asked. "October 14th, 2023, 6 months after Lucas... passed." The timeline matched. Too well. For the first time in 2 years, Isabella felt her breath catch not from grief, but from something sharper. Shock. Hope. Fear. "Why didn't you come to me sooner?" Ana looked away. "I didn't think you'd believe me, or want anything to do with him. I buried my only child," Isabella said quietly. "If he had a child, my grandson, he's all I have left." They stood in silence, the wind whispering again through the leaves. "I don't want your money," Ana said, almost defiantly. "I've taken care of him on my own. I just wanted him to know where his father is buried. That's all." Isabella wasn't listening anymore. Her eyes were on Matthews, whose tiny fingers now clung to Ana's coat. He blinked at her, curious. Suddenly, the sound of the limo door opening echoed across the cemetery. "Ma'am?" Her driver called out, noticing the extended delay. Isabella raised a hand to signal him to wait, but her mind had already spiraled into 1,000 questions. She needed proof. She needed certainty. But more than anything, she needed time. "Ana, listen to me," she said. "I want to know everything. About you. About Lucas? About Mathoys? Please, will you come with me? Aina hesitated. Isabella softened her tone. You don't have to trust me. Just give me a chance to understand. After a long pause, Aina nodded. They walked together toward the car, two strangers united by a grave and a child. As the door closed behind them, Isabella stared at the boy now seated between them. And in her mind, a single thought echoed over and over. What if this child is my legacy? The interior of the limousine was quiet except for the faint hum of the engine and the soft cooing of Mathoys. Aina sat stiffly, clutching the child as if at any moment she might be asked to leave. Isabella, on the other hand, stared straight ahead, her mind a swirl of memories, doubts, and a growing, unspoken hope. The silence between them was not awkward, only heavy. Too many questions had no answers yet. I want the DNA test, Isabella said suddenly, her voice calm but resolute. Aina nodded. I expected that. I can have it arranged tomorrow, discreetly. Aina stroked Mathoys' hair gently. We don't have anything to hide. Isabella turned toward her, examining her profile. She had soft features, eyes that seemed older than her age, tired but strong. How did you meet Lucas? Aina smiled faintly. He came into the cafe I worked at, downtown. I spilled coffee on him. That almost drew a smile from Isabella. Sounds like him. He didn't act like someone from a powerful family. No suits, no arrogance. He was kind, curious. He asked about me, then came back the next day. And the next. Did he tell you about me? Eventually, Aina said, hesitating. But he didn't say much. Just that you were distant, busy. That your world didn't have room for people like me. Isabella's jaw tightened. It wasn't untrue. Her work had always come first. She'd built Navarro Technologies from the ground up, sacrificing friends, marriage, even time with Lucas. Maybe that's why he kept this secret. Maybe he thought she wouldn't care. But looking at Mathoys now, the boy's wide, curious eyes, Isabella felt something break loose inside her chest. A tether long buried. Where you been living? She asked. With a friend. We've moved around a bit. I've done what I can. You've done well. He looks healthy. Aina smiled, but there was pain behind it. It's not easy being a single mother, especially when no one believes you about the father. Isabella looked at her sharply. Did someone accuse you of lying? Not directly. But when I said Lucas Navarro was the father, people assumed I was making it up for attention, or for money. And yet, you never came to me. I almost did, right after he died. But I was grieving, and scared. Then when I saw the news reports, how private everything was, how tightly your life was sealed, I didn't know how to approach you. Isabella leaned back in her seat. Outside, the city lights were beginning to fade into the darkened skyline as they crossed the Navarro Estate's private bridge. I need to be honest with you, Aina, she said. If the DNA test proves he's my grandson, things will change. Rapidly. There will be lawyers, media, maybe even threats. People who want the Navarro name destroyed. Aina's expression didn't change. I don't care about the Navarro name. I care about my son. That's why I want to protect him, Isabella said. If he's truly Lucas's child, he's not just my grandson. He's the heir to everything. Aina stiffened. I don't want your money. I believe you. But there are others who will. This isn't just about inheritance. It's about legacy, power, ownership. Enemies of my company will come for him when they find out. And what if I say, I want to keep him away from all of that? Isabella paused. Then I'll fight for custody. The words hung in the air like a blade. Aina turned slowly toward her. You'd take him from me? If I had to keep him safe. Aina's grip on Mathoys tightened. I'm not afraid of power, Miss Navarro. and I'm not used to being challenged. They locked eyes for several tense seconds before Matthäus let out a sudden laugh, waving his hands in the air. The tension broke, and Aina looked down, her face softening. "Let's do the test," she said. "Then we'll talk." The limousine stopped at the front entrance of the Navarro estate. Grand iron gates opened to a sprawling mansion, its lights glowing like a fortress in the night. Aina hesitated before stepping out, overwhelmed by the size of it all. Isabella led them through the marble foyer in silence, straight to the guest wing. A live-in nurse would arrive in the morning for the swab test. "You can stay here until we have the results," she said. "No press, no visitors, just time to figure out what this all means." Aina turned back to her. "Thank you." Isabella nodded. She looked down at Matthäus again, her voice quieter this time. "If you're really his son, you've just changed everything." The next morning came with a gray sky and silence, so still it felt unnatural. Aina awoke in the guest room, Matthäus still asleep beside her in the large bed. She sat up slowly, disoriented by the luxury thick curtains, antique furniture, the faint scent of lavender diffused through the air. It felt worlds away from the cramped apartments she'd lived in the past 2 years. A soft knock came at the door. Aina opened it to find a woman in a white coat holding a medical kit. She introduced herself as Dr. Amelia Roca, one of the Navarro family's private physicians. Behind her stood Isabella, impeccably dressed as always, though her face showed signs of a sleepless night. "We'll keep things quick and painless," the doctor said. "Swabs for both of you. Results in 36 hours. Aina nodded, lifting Matthäus into her arms. The boy blinked sleepily, unaware of the significance of the moment. The test took only minutes. When it was done, Isabella gestured for Aina to follow her. They walked through a quiet corridor to a private breakfast room. A fire burned softly in the stone fireplace. "I'd like to know more about Lucas," Isabella said as they sat. Aina hesitated. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," so Aina told her. She spoke of late-night drives, poetry scribbled on napkins, his passion for music, how he hated the corporate world, how he would talk about his dreams of starting a recording studio, not to make money, but to give young artists a voice. Isabella listened silently, her face unreadable. "He said you never really saw him," Aina continued, "that you saw potential, not the person." Those words struck deeper than Aina expected. Isabella stared into her coffee. He was wrong, but maybe he had reason to feel that way. "You weren't close?" "I was close to his future, not his heart," Aina softened. "He loved you. He just didn't know how to talk to you." Silence again. Then Isabella looked up. "How did he die, Aina?" "Not the version from the news. I want your truth." Aina's hands curled around her cup. "He came to see me that night. He was upset something about the company. A fight with someone, maybe an investor. He wouldn't tell me exactly. He just said he was scared." Isabella leaned forward. "Scared of what?" "I don't know. He left after midnight. The next morning, I heard about the crash." Isabella's breath caught. She remembered that week clearly. Lucas had stormed out after an argument. She had pushed him too hard, again about coming back into the company. "You think someone caused it?" Aina hesitated. "I think someone could have." Isabella stood. "Follow me." She led Aina down a hall to her private office, unlocking a cabinet and retrieving a flash drive. "I've reviewed the accident footage 100 times, she said. "The street cameras show his car swerving, but no other vehicles nearby. Police said he was speeding. No sign of sabotage." Aina took the drive but didn't insert it. "But he wasn't the kind to just lose control." "No," Isabella agreed quietly. "He wasn't." They locked eyes again. "You think someone wanted him gone?" Aina asked. Isabella didn't answer. Instead, she turned toward the window, watching the estate's security guards circle the perimeter. There are people who would do anything to break me, including hurt my son. A knock interrupted the moment. One of Isabella's aides entered, whispering something in her ear. Her face paled slightly. She turned to Aina. "You need to see this." They walked to the main living room, where a large TV screen had already been turned on. A news anchor appeared on screen, voice grave. Breaking. Rumors swirled that Lucas Navarro, son of tech mogul Isabella Navarro, may have had a secret child prior to his death. Sources close to the family claim an unidentified woman and a toddler have been spotted on the Navarro estate. If true, this would mark a seismic shift in the Navarro legacy. Aina's blood ran cold. "They found out?" she whispered. Isabella's hands were already moving dialing phones, giving orders to her security chief. "We've had a leak," she muttered. This wasn't supposed to happen until the test results were in. Malaise started to cry from the hallway. Aina rushed to him, holding him close. Isabella turned to her, her face stone. "We need to act. Now." "Act how?" "I'll have you moved to a safe location. No one must know where the child is." Aina stepped back. "No, I won't let you take him." Isabella raised a hand. "I'm not taking him from you, Aina. I'm protecting him. You have no idea what kind of attention this will draw." Aina hesitated. She looked down at Manos, his small face nestled into her shoulder. For the first time, she felt the weight of what they were stepping into. This wasn't just about her and Lucas anymore. It was about power, legacy, danger. "All right," she said, "but I stay with him." Of course, within the hour, bags were packed. Security vans were positioned. Aina and Madois were escorted through a side gate into an unmarked car headed for a hidden Navarro safe house outside the city. As they drove off, Isabella stood alone at the window, watching them disappear. And in her chest, a storm of doubt grew louder. Someone had leaked the story. Someone close. And if Aina was right, someone had wanted Lucas dead. The safe house was nothing like Aina expected. Tucked into a quiet forest, clearing an hour outside the city, the estate was modern but discreet. It had high fences, surveillance cameras, and a team of security guards who never smiled. Inside, the rooms were warm and quiet, stocked with everything Aina and Madois could need: food, clothes, even a small nursery. But Aina couldn't relax. She sat by the window that night, rocking Madois in her arms while watching the trees sway outside. Her phone had been taken for safety. No internet, no outside contact. It felt less like protection and more like a gilded cage. The door opened softly. Isabella entered, wrapped in a long cashmere coat, her expression unreadable. "I thought you'd want to know," she said. The preliminary DNA results came back. Aina stood slowly, and Isabella handed her a folded piece of paper. Aina unfolded it, her hands trembling. Probability of relatedness: 99.998%. A breath escaped her lungs. "He's your grandson." Isabella didn't speak for a long time. She simply walked over to Madois, who was now sleeping on Aina's shoulder. Gently, she reached out and touched his tiny hand. "I lost my son," she said. "But I didn't lose everything." Aina nodded, her throat tight. "Thank you for telling me the truth," Isabella added. "You didn't have to." "I did," Aina whispered. "He deserves to know who he is, even if the world's going to make that hard." There was a long pause. Then Isabella said something that made Aina's stomach twist. "I want full custody." Aina stepped back, her eyes flashing. "Excuse me?" "I'll provide for him. He'll have every opportunity. Education, security, protection. He'll be surrounded by people who can prepare him for the Navarro name." "No," Aina said. "You can't just decide that." "I'm not deciding. I'm offering. If you fight me, Aina, the world will eat you alive." Courtrooms, tabloids, investigators. Everything you've tried to keep private will become ammunition. I'm his mother, Ana said, voice shaking. And you said you didn't want to take him from me. That was before I realized what's coming. There are people watching us now. Enemies. Investors looking for weakness. If word spreads that the heir to Navarro Technologies is living with a single mother in a rented apartment, I'm not ashamed of who I am, Ana said firmly. Isabella's voice dropped. But the world will make you wish you were. Silence filled the room. Then Ana said the one thing Isabella hadn't expected. You think you're the only one who lost him. Isabella's eyes narrowed. I lost Lucas too, Ana said. I lost the man I loved. I lost the father of my child. And I've raised that child every single day without help, without rest, without even acknowledgement. Isabella didn't respond. I'm not giving him up, Ana said. You'll have to fight me in court, and I'll fight back. The door opened again this time. One of the security guards stepped inside and handed Isabella a phone. She listened silently to whatever was said, her face going still. When she hung up, her voice was colder than before. The full DNA results were leaked. The press has it. It'll be on every screen by morning. Ana's heart sank. Who leaked it? I don't know yet, but I will. Can't you stop it? Isabella shook her head. Not now. It's already viral. She turned back toward the window. They'll come for you now, she said. Every tabloid, every camera, every lie. They'll drag your past through the mud, question everything about you. And when they find something anything, they'll use it to say you're unfit. Ana didn't flinch. I'm not afraid. You should be. Ana turned away, holding Medois close. I'll protect him. The same way I always have. Isabella paused. Then, for the first time since they'd met, her voice broke. I don't know how to do this. Ana looked at her. I know. Neither do I. That night, neither of them slept. The silence between their rooms was heavier than any courtroom, because both women knew that only one of them would shape the future of Mathos Navarro, and neither was willing to let go. The next morning, the world erupted. News helicopters hovered above the Navarro estate. Online tabloids screamed headlines like Secret Heir to Navarro Empire Discovered and Single Mother at Center of Corporate Scandal. Paparazzi swarmed outside gates. Commentators speculated on everything from custody battles to inheritance wars. Isabella sat at the head of a polished oak conference table, surrounded by her legal team. Their faces were tense. Phones rang nonstop. We can suppress some of the damage, one lawyer said. But we can't erase it. The world knows the boy exists. The board is demanding a statement. They're afraid of instability, another added. A contested heir makes the company vulnerable. Isabella said nothing for a long moment. Then, call an emergency press conference. That afternoon, Ana stood beside her in a dark suit borrowed from Isabella's wardrobe. She had barely slept. Mathys was in the arms of a nanny behind the stage, protected by guards. A sleek white podium stood before the press. Lights blazed. Dozens of microphones pointed forward. Isabella stepped to the front. The crowd hushed. She spoke calmly, controlled, every word measured. Yes, the child is my grandson. Yes, he is the biological son of Lucas Navarro. Flashes burst from cameras like lightning. He was born out of love, not secrecy. And I recognize him publicly and legally as the rightful heir to my family's legacy. Ana blinked, stunned. Isabella wasn't finished. But I also recognize that legacy is not just money or power. It's sacrifice, it's family, and above all, it's choice. She turned slightly, facing Ana now. This woman raised my grandson alone, with dignity, strength, and courage. She didn't ask for anything. She never exploited him. She never came to me seeking wealth. Ana's eyes welled, but she stood still. So today, Isabella continued, her voice unwavering, I am stepping down as CEO of Navarro Technologies. Effective immediately. A gasp rippled through the press. Isabella raised her hand to quiet the noise. I am not disappearing, but I am choosing to build something greater with him. With them. I will mentor my grandson for the future, but the company needs fresh leadership now. Leadership that can withstand scandal and shape something new. Ana stepped forward, confused. Isabella, what are you doing? Isabella turned to her, and for the first time, her smile wasn't cold. I thought legacy meant control. But it doesn't. It means leaving something better behind. Lucas didn't want this empire. You didn't want this fight. So I'm giving both of you what you do want. Tears finally escaped down Ana's face. You're giving up everything? No, Isabella said. I'm choosing everything that matters. She reached out and took Ana's hand. Reporters screamed questions, flashes going wild. But neither woman looked at the cameras, only at each other. Later that night, the estate was quiet again. Mathys ran barefoot through the halls, laughing. Ana chased after him, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Isabella watched from the terrace, sipping tea. Are you sure about this? Ana asked, joining her. I've never been more sure. I thought you'd fight me forever. I was going to. But then I remembered something. Ana looked at her. Isabella continued, her voice soft. Lucas once told me during one of our worst arguments that one day he'd have a child I'd never meet. He said I was too busy building empires to see the family in front of me. I didn't believe him. I thought he was just angry. She looked at Mathys now, who had stopped to stare at the moon. But he was right. And when I saw that boy at the cemetery, I knew. I couldn't lose him too. Ana sat down beside her. They didn't speak for a while. Then Isabella said, I want to help you raise him. Not as a CEO, not as a judge, but as a grandmother. Ana nodded, smiling. And I want him to know who his father was. Not just the headlines, but the man. They sat together, watching Mathys laugh at shadows. In the distance, a shooting star streaked across the sky. And in that moment, all the power, pain, and past melted into something far more valuable than wealth. It became love. A quiet, undeniable legacy of its own.